Good morning. How are you? We have a really good panel sessions today. I want to welcome you to All That Matters Day 2. Video matters. Why? Because 53% of everything that we consume online in Asia at prime time is already video. Consumers in Asia already consume massive amounts of online content, stories, information, and yet we don't really have a good strategy on how to approach it. Patrick Walker is going to talk to us from Rightster, an internationally leading MCN. They actually do understand this story. They do actually understand video. And more money will go into measurable media this year than ever before. So Patrick's going to spend some time. I'll be with you all morning. Then we're going to bring up a few panels, and you're going to actually receive some very valuable information about how and why video matters. Please help welcome Patrick Walker, CEO of Rightster.
Good morning. A lot of you way back there. The good news is we're not going to run out of water. Plenty of water for everybody. My name is Patrick Walker. I'm the CEO of Rightster, and I'm going to talk to you about the online video revolution. Well, actually, I was thinking about this last night. I don't like the word online anymore, really. Do you guys like, who prefers online to digital? What do you prefer? Online, raise your hand. Digital? Better, yeah? AOL got sold, the world has changed, online is a bit yesterday. So let's talk about the digital video revolution as of today. So I want you all to get warm up a little bit. Go ahead and roll the video. I actually can't see a thing from here, but I want to see a show of hands. A little campfire for you. How many of you have used YouTube in the last 24 hours? Put up your hand. How many haven't used YouTube in the last 24 hours? Okay, maybe bad connection to the hotel. How many of you have used Snapchat in the last 24 hours? Quite a few, just a few. How many of you have used Periscope? Meerkat? Vessel? The list goes on and on. There are so many different video platforms emerging. The world has truly changed, even just in the last few months. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to storytelling. And the reason I show the video of the fire is because it reminds me of the essence of storytelling. As a kid sitting around the campfire, and the same thing to the dawn of time, people would gather, and it was a combination of sight, sound, and motion that was exciting and that was very emotive. It was immediate, it was intimate, participatory, sing along, participate, and join in. You mattered. And it was measurable. You could see how many people were around the fire. You could see if somebody was involved or interested. If somebody was sleeping, you could see if somebody new came, you could welcome them. It was measurable. But it was also limited in terms of the size of the audience. It was as big as you could gather people in a particular space. But still, the power of storytelling was there. So first I'll tell you a story about myself. I actually began my career in Asia, in Japan, as a producer at NHK. I was working on children's programming, international co-productions, but I was fascinated by technology, and so I got myself on to the first broadcast of high-definition television, and believe it or not, people were debating about what do you do with 16:9? What do you do with 16:9? Almost like people are debating now, what do you do with virtual reality? It was that big of a deal. But it was exciting to be there at the time. I went to the BBC as a foreign news journalist based in Bangkok, actually, covering lots of crises and exciting events around the area. And we were using technology to tell stories. We didn't have the benefit of internet transmission from remote locations. We would use big, heavy satellite gear. We'd have to rush to the top of some mountain and have the benefit of paying $3,000 to get some video back to London. But that changed quickly as online video editing and transmissions via phones started to emerge. I was at PCCW for a while, but based in London to do short-form video, and this is in 2000, before broadband really was taking off. And we had this crazy idea to make short-form videos because we should not be limited in our length by the tyranny of the 30-minute broadcast window. So short-form videos, people thought we were crazy. We kind of were. That died a very quick death in 2002, and the funding ran out. And then I was at Real Networks, which invented streaming video, based in Seattle, my hometown, launching the first subscription video services, Big Brother Live, UEFA Champions League, BBC News subscription service. Very exciting, but they did not see Flash coming. And Flash came and took over. I was a short time at Intel, another technology company that tried to understand content and failed miserably. Short while there, and I got a phone call from Google. I was very excited. Would you like to come and help us launch Google Video in Europe, Middle East, and Africa? Would you like to help us develop a video strategy for Google? Absolutely. I took the job. And then this happened.
All right, so here we are in front of the elephants. The cool thing about these guys is that they have really long trunks, and that's cool.
Joe and Karim, one of the founders of YouTube. This video came on 2005, and they didn't know at the time, but it did change the world. So that's enough about me. Let's talk about you. YouTube, you, the user, you who control the information age. Welcome to your world. This was the cover of Time magazine in December 2006. Sorry, 2005, January 2006. It was just when I was starting off, and we were like, Google, we can take these guys on. Google Video, we're going to be great. We're going to be amazing. We're Google, after all. Let's go win and take over the world. It wasn't quite that easy. YouTube was more googly than Google. YouTube was more user-friendly. YouTube had a better brand. YouTube captured the imagination with its cool logo and its broadcast yourself tagline. We had no chance. So we recommended that we acquire them, and we did. $1.6 billion in the end of 2006. People thought we were nuts. We weren't nuts. We thought we might be nuts. We had a little niggling doubt about it, but in the end, it was a very good investment. And the reason why YouTube is so successful, this is YouTube in 2007-ish, because it brought back that emotive immediacy and intimate storytelling that TV broadcasts had been lacking, the participatory nature, the you matter, the measurability, the authenticity. That's a new word, authenticity. Sometimes you would have a hit unintentionally, like Charlie Bit My Finger, one of the videos that we at Rightster manage on behalf of the parents, still today. Shareable, social, better than the campfire, because you could be sharing it immediately across the world instantaneously. But they had their challenges. Rights cleared, some of it, maybe. Lawsuits ensued. Brand safe, very few brands would even take a look at putting their ads on YouTube, even though many of them snuck them on under surreptitious user accounts. And monetization, not even. We had big battles as to whether or not we should even run pre-roll ads. Eventually we did, but the TrueView ads emerged, and I have to say proudly that YouTube actually fixed all those problems over the years. But let's go back in time and think about broadcasting from the 1950s. What's interesting is I really see a big comparison between what was happening in the transition of users and ad dollars from radio to TV in the 50s that we are seeing now still between television and digital video. You had this massive spend on radio, and TV was just emerging. Very few people had TVs. They would gather in people's homes, the early adopters, to watch broadcasts. And there, believe it or not, there were marketers who were not spending $1 on TV advertising because it was unproven. And why would you do that? Radio is so effective. But it changed rather quickly. TV captured the world's attention. Roll this video, please. It's the Queen Christmas broadcast. And people didn't know what to make of it. They cleaned their home before the broadcast because they weren't quite sure if she could see into their homes.
25 years ago, my grandfather broadcast the first of these Christmas messages. Today is another landmark, because television has made it possible for many of you to see me in your homes on Christmas Day. My own family often gather round to watch television, as they are at this moment. And that is how I imagine you now. I very much hope that this new medium will make my Christmas message more personal and direct. It's inevitable that I should seem a rather remote figure to many of you, a successor to the kings and queens of history, someone whose face may be familiar in newspapers and films, but who never really touches your personal lives. But now, at least for a few minutes, I welcome you to the peace of my own home.
The peace of my own home. Intimacy of broadcast, yes. Impactful, yes. She was onto something. In fact, the Queen of England, same Queen Elizabeth, came to YouTube office in 2007 and uploaded the first video ever by a royal family. It was pretty exciting. She's definitely onto capturing the waves. But what was interesting, again, the advertising was not yet there. And just like today, where a lot of online video, digital video ads are just TV ads whacked into the video space as pre-rolls, non-skippable, many of them. People would take radio advertisements and just put pictures on because they didn't quite understand the language of TV advertising. Here's a good example, 1959, 10 years after TV started to take off, still radio ads with pictures just slapped on for effect. 1959 ad.
Barbie, you're beautiful. You make me feel my Barbie doll is really real. Barbie's small and so petite.
So not massive high production value there. Slightly creepy hand reaching in and grabbing Barbie. This is what TV advertising was like. They really had no idea what it would become. Very similar to digital video advertising now.
Barbie dressed for swim and fun is only $3.
Next slide,
The lovely
please.
fashions range from $1 to $5.
So TV storytelling, the golden age of television. Yes, SSM, sight, sound, emotion, emotive. Immediate, intimate, well, the Queen sort of made it for a few moments seem so, but not really. Quite staged. Participatory? No. You matter? Not really. Somewhere you were out there and you were mattering in terms of the overall numbers, but it wasn't quite sure who was tuned in and who was not. Authentic? Not necessarily. Measurable? Well, with TV advertising, you could spend $1 million, and half of the audience you would hit would be the right audience. You just didn't know which half, so you just spend $1 million. And that actually hasn't changed so much still today. Social? No. Monetization? Definitely started to grow, and mass reach, absolutely. So TV became the dominant place for advertising spend. And by the way, portability is nothing new. Portability has been around for quite a long time. It's just the technology didn't really allow it. This is the tummy television from 1970s, Sony. You can have your own mono headphones, so you don't have to wake up your wife, and when you're done, it says, with your program, you can slip it under your pillow. It's so small. Actually, the technology revolution sort of fixed that and made it a lot more portable. This is really, by the way, what changed the world in terms of video consumption. People seem to look at, and for a while blamed YouTube and Google for changing my business and ruining my life and somehow disrupting my industry. Well, guess what? Technology revolution marches on. There were lots of other video platforms launching at the time. YouTube just did it better, but somebody would have done it. Somebody would have exploded it. Smaller, faster, cheaper, connected, more storage equals more video consumption, democratized production in the hand of every consumer, no gatekeeper. Very powerful. So even though we still do this at home, they tend to say and think that 5 hours of TV is consumed in the home of Americans every day. Well, maybe the TV is on, but who knows whether that's Apple TV, Google Play, Netflix, DVD, you name it, long list. Linear broadcasting, especially of non-live events, is definitely questionable, but the TV ad spend is still there, almost all of it. But this is probably more like your living room, right? Does this look familiar to you? The TV is probably on in the background, but nobody's paying attention, or somebody's glancing from time to time, but the attention is definitely in the palm of everyone's hands. YouTube called this the C generation, the connected generation. And now we have the millennials, this term, the millennials. These guys are the selfie takers, but they're not necessarily selfish. They're always on, and they expect to be on. If you were to ask them what would happen if you took their phone away from them, they would probably break down in tears. The greatest punishment in the world would be to lose that phone, and even worse, have the phone but have no internet. Creator consumers, they expect authenticity, and they don't trust big business. They don't trust big institutions. Interesting. In a survey of millennial girls, 6% were said to be trusting of big business compared to 60% of people over the age of 50. That's a huge change. And they're concerned about the environment, terrorism, debt. They care, they're informed, and they matter. They're also determining who will be the ones that start to get the advertisers' money, because they are turning their attention to these YouTube stars, to these new, amazing, fast growth superstars who many of you will see around this weekend here in Singapore. According to a survey in Variety magazine, they are now more popular amongst US teens than the big celebrities you know from TV, film, and movies. That survey blew people away. It wasn't a big surprise for us at YouTube, but the dollars will start to shift in that direction. Influencer marketing is hot and getting hotter. This is one of our clients, Jamal Edwards, SBTV. He just got his MBE, Order of the British Empire, 22, 23 years old. He's a phenomenon in the UK. He is a big draw for brands that want to associate themselves with influencers. They are the zeitgeist for marketers in 2015. It's a critical way to create meaningful, authentic connections with the millennials. And YouTube is very much at the heart of this, but also Facebook, Twitter, Instagram are coming as well. Look at, TV spend just this year is starting to shift. Just starting to shift. It says here, advanced purchases of airtime forecast to fall 7% amid migration to digital platforms. By 2012, the upfronts in New York City had a handful of digital companies. This year, there were 33 new fronts. 33. From Vice to Maker, from magazines and newspaper companies, the New York Times and Condé Nast, and others, all hawking their digital, originally produced, digital-first video wares. Massive transition happening already in the consumer side, and now you're starting to see the money follow. It is coming. Another month, another player. It's getting more confusing. Where do I spend my dollars? How do I connect with young audiences? They're not watching TV anymore. And even if you're a creator, okay, wow, this new thing called Snapchat launched, but I already have this Vine following, and I'm on Instagram, and I put this thing on Facebook, and I got this Twitter thing, and my YouTube channel is still very popular, and the advertisers are approaching me about this, and this, and this, and this, and what's this Periscope business? Where'd that come from? It's all expanding very quickly. Actually, a few of those didn't even exist a few months ago. This is where it gets really exciting. Storytelling, again, in the age of the live app boom, app wars, Meerkat and Periscope. How many of you said that you've used Meerkat or Periscope in the last 24 hours? Very few. If I ask that question next year, probably all of you will have been using it or making videos with it in some way or another. Why is this different? It's live, it's emotive, it's real time. I could stand here and I could literally broadcast to the world my conversation integrated with my Twitter social group. I could see comments and questions coming. I could answer them in real time in the broadcast, and they can send me little hearts to say if they like it or not. So you matter. It's measurable, authentic, shareable, social, ephemeral. This is really interesting, right? In a world of mass distraction, of mass attention grabbers, and you're trying to communicate with somebody, making something live is a very good way to get them to focus. And also, the fact that it disappears after 24 hours on Periscope, and you have no chance to see it again on Meerkat necessarily, makes it also something that you want to pay attention to. Attention grabbing. Rights cleared? Actually, I was watching the Mayweather boxing match live on someone's Periscope feed. That would never happen on YouTube today. Brand safe? Meerkat roulette, anyone? Monetization? No, not yet. But still, fascinating. And guess what? Last night, Spotify launched a video platform. New kid on the block. They have 25 billion hours of music streamed per month. Guess how many video views they're going to start to drive? We will see. Rightster is on that list as new partners, along with Vice, BBC, Condé Nast, ESPN. Channels, new video integrated with music channels, playlists. It might be a game changer. It might not. We're not quite sure. But we're very pleased to be participating. Now let's talk about, and I was actually experimenting with my Periscope last night. I did a live Periscope of the live broadcast on my laptop of the Spotify announcement from New York City. I had 41 live viewers, 138 hearts. Hearts are the equivalent of a like or a follow or a subscriber. Not so bad. I'm just getting started. Now let's talk about Snapchat. Okay, how many of you have ever used Snapchat? Only the ones that are under 30 out there, it looks like. Okay. I didn't really get it for a long time. I didn't really get it. I knew that my 14 and 16-year-old were on it all the time, and they kind of liked the fact I didn't get it. I get it now, and it's pretty wicked. It's pretty amazing. Again, it's transformatory, I think. It is transformatory. And the fact that it's hard for grown-ups to understand makes it even cooler for the kids. Casey Neistat is a very well-known YouTuber who started a fascination with Snapchat, and he made this video to talk a little bit about what we might expect and what's happening in the world of online digital video. Play video.
often do you guys use Snapchat?
Every day. Every day, all day.
The question is, when do I not use Snapchat? It's breakfast, it's lunch.
Yeah.
Every couple of years, a new platform shows up and is quickly declared the future of social media. Let me explain. First, there was Friendster. Then MySpace showed up, got rid of Friendster. Facebook came along and took out MySpace. Then Instagram showed up, but was bought off by Facebook for $1 billion. And now there's Snapchat. Facebook tried to buy Snapchat for a reported $3 billion, but Snapchat refused.
How big does this pile have to be?
Now, there's a new gangster in town.
Say my name.
Snapchat?
You're goddamn right.
Right. So, and that's not really, that's Casey Neistat who made that. I think it's brilliant. Check out his channel. It's amazing, actually, and it's no joke. What's interesting about it is it's expanding even the opportunities around storytelling. It's very different. It's not just putting video in another platform funded by somebody new, trying to capture people's attention and repurposing YouTube stars into another place 3 days earlier, 4 days later, what have you, shorter, longer. No, it's a whole nother type of storytelling, communication. It's really interesting. Immediate, yes. They also have, by the way, a Skype killer. If you're under 30, you're probably using Snapchat for your direct one-to-one communication. Forget Skype. Intimate, participatory. Interestingly, you can't like or comment. You can just watch, and you can share. You matter, measurable, authentic, yes. Shareable, social, yes. Ephemeral, 24 hours. You have to actually hold your thumb onto the screen to watch something. There is nothing else that you can do if you're going to use Snapchat than to do that. You can't look at and use Snapchat while you're doing something else. You focus. You focus. That's very, very important. Attention grabbing, mixed media, image, text, video, animation, drawing on the screen, changing the colors. Rights cleared? Actually, they're doing better. They launched Snapchat Discover with all these new partners. Brand safe? Yes, in this area, I would say so. And also, they are monetizing. Congratulations. One of these new platforms is finally monetizing other than YouTube. So now, the industry challenge. How do you navigate in this very complex landscape? And it is becoming increasingly complex. Content, rights holders, record labels, broadcasters, creators, YouTubers, Viners, Instagrammers, brands of all kinds. Some of them are passive, some of them are proactive, some of them are becoming broadcasters in their own right. Red Bull. What a transformation of a drink brand into a global media powerhouse. And then you have the platforms and the publishers. By the way, it's not just YouTube, Snapchat, Facebook, Vine. Glamour Magazine, Evening Standard. You've seen the global video views of Mail Online. It's one of the biggest video platforms in the world right now. It's a UK publisher, magazine originally, in paper, now taking lots of attention with their videos. Hungry, hungry, hungry video platforms. Where do they get it from? You may feel like this. A lot of people do, especially if you are a broadcaster and you haven't really taken the time to think about your strategy for crossing that divide between where TV advertising dollars have been being spent and where they're going to be spent. Or if you're a creator, it depends. Which one are you? Everyone has their own need for some support, for some guidance, for some intelligence, for some experimentation, and definitely some learning. Content owners want to increase their efficiency. They want to maximize their revenue. They want a global reach, and they want to protect their rights. The creators want to grow faster. They want to earn more. They want new opportunities. They're very selective, but they want to see what these opportunities are on the new platforms. And they're getting big checks, by the way, from the Vessels of this world and probably the Spotifys and others. Local support's important as well. If you're based here in Singapore, you may want to have local multi-channel network or support to help you get local brand deals. Brands want to get TV scale again. They want to find influencers. They want to activate anywhere on any platform, and they want to have insights and intelligence and data. And platforms and publishers, they want to get more video. They're very hungry for video. They want to grow audiences. They want to drive revenue, and they want to access these creators. It's not easy. None of it's easy. And it's all supposed to be accelerated in the monetization through technology and data. This is what we try and focus on. And it's not broadcasting that's going to do this. No. It's not narrowcasting, that cable, satellite, niche channels, even on the internet, niche channels around certain types of content. It's not necessarily going to solve the fragmentation problem. What I call it right casting. We call it right casting. Trying to get the right content with the right audience on the right platform at the right time. And this is no easy feat. So we spend a lot of our time thinking about this on behalf of our clients. Now, the ones to think about, though, are the brands. I'm going to talk about the right casting concept for the brands, because the brands are the ones that are funding and fueling, eventually, the growth on these platforms. The users come first, and then the brands follow. And now the brands are following quicker than ever. The lightning flash and the thunderclap between platform launch and brands wanting to be there is getting narrower and shorter, and the smart brands are getting there quicker and quicker. We're spending a lot of time with them. What we're all doing is trying to redefine the digital video value chain. We're enabling the brands to engage with scaled audiences, reconnecting the TV scale audiences across these digital channels through digital-first content. That's important, not just repurposing of analog stuff, whacking it onto the internet and saying, I've done my job. No, it's digital-first content, digital-first talent, data, and technology to support it. So we had a brief from Turkish Airlines. It was a big brief covering lots of different countries, and they wanted to have they had an ongoing campaign called Widen Your World, which promoted various destinations around the globe. They'd done a very successful campaign with Kobe Bryant and Lionel Messi, but it was also very, very expensive. And they wanted to do something a little more economical and leverage the online and digital video explosion. But they wanted to make Turkish Airlines relevant and cool to digital natives of all ages, globally and authentically. The solution that we came up with was to pick 10 YouTubers from around the world, 5 from our own network and 5 from other multi-channel networks. We had them do intro videos. We had them go to Istanbul. We had them participate in a secret ceremony where a mystical rabbit in a traditional Turkish ceremony would pick a destination in a ceremony in Istanbul city. And then they would be flown off the next day to a city that was chosen for them, whether that be Kathmandu, Tokyo, or Paris. Hashtag Fortune Traveler, amplification across Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The results were actually quite phenomenal. And we're quite pleased that I just got sent this video from Turkish Airlines, who are now looking at multiple campaigns in different markets as well. They're going to be submitting this video that I show here to the Cannes Lions for an award. Here you go.
Turkish Airlines launched a brand new social marketing campaign with the hashtag Fortune Traveler. The Fortune Traveler campaign brought together 10 global creators from across the YouTube network. During their time with the airline, they produced 3 YouTube videos that documented their Fortune Traveler journey. The campaign has generated phenomenal results for Turkish Airlines, with increased sales of 14% over the campaign period. Turkish Airlines also gained over 34,000 followers on Twitter. Its global Facebook channel also added over 270,000 new fans. Turkish Airlines.
Every video in that promotional video was shot by one of the YouTube creators, every single one of them. You should take a look at some of them. Devon Supertramp, phenomenal video in Nepal. Amazing, amazing talent. Much less expensive than broadcasting, but much more measurable and very impactful. So when you do these sorts of campaigns, you have to try things. You have to be bold. You have to experiment. And then you need to measure, you learn, and you iterate. Something we learned at Google. Launch, iterate, repeat. Try it again and again. But you have to think about this in the creative process, digital-first content, or even repurposing content made for broadcast, but in a way that's respectful of an understanding of the language of the new platforms. Amplification. Are you going to use Facebook first or YouTube first? Or are you going to go for a Vine campaign with your 6-second hit? Those can be very effective, especially in North America. Are you going to focus mostly on Snapchat and then amplify that perhaps on your Facebook channel? You have to think about that. Engagement. This is the hard part. This is the art and science part where you are managing audience development over a period of time to not just have a one-hit wonder, but to manage a relationship with the consumer around your brand, to have a YouTube channel and a Facebook page that actually utilizes video and builds on the tentpole event that you've done to sustain growth and subscribers and followers and likes and hearts and what have you, so that the next time you do something, you don't have to start from zero again. Very, very important. And by the way, collaboration is key. And this is one thing that I like about this industry. It's still very young, and people are quite keen, mostly, to work together. And sometimes the farther up the food chain they go, the less likely to collaborate they become. We're fortunate to live in a world where there's lots of people who think that working together is still a very good thing. And I think it's great, especially in a big global environment. Those who might be a competitor in one market could very much be partners in the next, and that's how we ran that campaign. And a lot of the things that we do, we are quite MCN neutral, if you like, in how we approach our business. I think that's important. And also you're seeing now collaborations between HBO and Vice, and you see Casey Neistat doing how-to videos on New York Times, and it's great. You know, this sort of interrelationship is very, very important, and it's critical. But the platforms need to take a page from YouTube, the new platforms, because YouTube is still the digital video king for now. They've done a lot of stuff right. Some people might complain about the yield and the ads or this or that, but you know what? They've done a lot of stuff right, and they've taken a lot of flack. And they worked super hard under a lot of duress to do things that Facebook hasn't even begun to do. Rights management, anyone? I watched again the Mayweather fight, HD, full screen, from somebody I know's Facebook feed, hours after the broadcast, right? Because it was there, and there's no video removal process necessarily that's easy. And without having a search mechanism like YouTube had, it's very, very hard to find unless you happen to be on the feed of somebody who uploads it. Think about that. Big platform, and now it's 4 billion views per day, up from 1 billion views per day on Facebook in September, and they still haven't got the rights management piece right. Monetization, nope, not yet. We'll take your video, thank you. Monetization is to come, and I'm sure they're going to do it well. But the pressure's on. Vine, same thing. Twitter, same thing. Protections against damaging content, sort of-ish. Sort of. That's very important. Child and brand safe, not quite sure sometimes what else is going to be on that feed. Again, YouTube did a lot of really hard work over years to protect and to perfect that process. And believe me, we saw some stuff coming through the system that you would not believe, that you would not want your child or even anyone you know to come across. And any of these platforms are subject to this coming on, particularly the live broadcast ones, instantaneously, any time of any day. Who knows what's going to happen, and you don't want to be the one to get it absolutely wrong, because it could kill you in terms of your business, in terms of your brand. Multiple platforms are important. Data insights, partner programs, and fair terms. Now, this is where YouTube's getting a bit tricky sometimes. They're getting so big, it's a bit my way or the highway. But still, they're doing a lot of stuff right. Now, you need to think about these things, because somebody new will come along. Somebody will open up a new idea and a new platform one day. And the fans, the creators, the partners, the brands will move there, sometimes before you know it. Remember MySpace? The day that YouTube was acquired by Google, I was on a panel with a guy who was running video for MySpace. And he stood there and said, "You will never succeed." And MySpace was the juggernaut of the time. Well, I wasn't quite sure if we were, but we did. And you know what's happened to them. You never know. But people move on if they start to sniff inauthenticity. I think, actually, that News Corp buying MySpace had a lot to do with that. Being neutral is important, right, as well. So I'd like to end with a video that actually, for me, encapsulates a lot of what I've been speaking about. It's a project that we worked on, one of many we've done with Pampers, the diaper company. Appropriate. It's the 10th birthday of YouTube, by the way. I want to give a little round of applause for YouTube. Happy birthday, YouTube. 10th this month. I think they deserve that. This is a campaign we did with Pampers on YouTube. And it's a good example of how you have UGC and professionally produced content coming together in a way that's almost seamless and quite beautiful and very powerful and very emotive. And so I'd like to end with this video about new births. Believe it or not, all user-generated content that we sourced from YouTube. we join you on your journey. Thank you. I'm very excited, actually. I'm due to have another baby, not me, my partner, in August, and so my kids have no recollection of YouTube never existing. It's inconceivable that I didn't even have that, and I have no idea what will happen and what my newborn child this year will experience in a few years' time in video, but it's going to be an exciting ride. Fasten your seatbelts. Any questions? We have time for questions? I can't see a thing. Anybody? Yes, we have one here. Curated content. What was the last part of that? Is there a better way to do? Good question. Right, so the question is, what about curated content? There's such a vast array of programming and content on YouTube and other platforms, and how can you have your content rise up? We actually spend a lot of time on this. This is one thing that multi-channel networks have spent years developing, focusing on. One way to do that is curated communities or even curated channels. There are ways that you can pull together and then have audience development work that will cross-promote and rise things up, search engine optimization as well. But putting things into a grouping is a very good way of doing it. And also you have some companies that have emerged that are purely verticalized, like Tastemade, focused on food, The Whistle as an MCN focused on sport. We actually have several communities. We have the biggest collection of parkour and free running athlete creators in a channel called Flow. That's a curated channel for 200, 300 different creators in the world to help give them visibility by cross-promotion. So there are lots of tricks and tools that you can use. And actually, YouTube's done a good job of creating things on the pages like shelves and other ways to curate. But curation is really important, and actually, I think there'll be a new wave of stars that will be the best curators, not just the best creators. And that may be in music, that may be in video. You could be very good at just pulling things together and telling a story around other people's work, and you will be rewarded for that. Another question? Anybody? That's it. Cool. All right. Well, thank you very much, guys. Have a great time.
Awesome.